Welcome to episode 70 of the Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording this live on November 1st, 2014. I am David Erickson, your co-host. You can find me at @Erickson on Twitter. I blog at e-strategyblog.com, and I am with my co-host BL Ochman, of course. You can find on Twitter at What's Next. Her blog is whatsnextblog.com. You can find her on maximum-plus.com for all things Google+. She's the CEO, and hire her for anything you need to know about Google+. And BL, of course, writes for AdEdge as well. And so our format, of course, is we look at the worst things that happened in the previous week. We look at the best things that happened. We go over some shiny new objects that we're enamored with, and we wrap it up with the daily numbers. Some stats you'll want to know. BL always has the honors. What was the most horrible thing that happened last week, BL?
Well, it wasn't really horrible. It was just kind of dumb. Last week, KissMetrics had a blog post with the headline, "How to Get at Least 500 More Google Plus Followers in the Next Week." And they said, unlike Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, there are no follow penalties or limits on how many people you can follow. And this is a recipe for major expansion, and this is going to make you so popular in Google Plus. But they didn't do their very basic research because Google limits the number of people you can follow, including profiles and pages, to 5,000. And they note in the instructions that they will cut you off for 24 hours if you follow too many people, or else in this one I don't get, if you excessively rearrange your circles too much in a short time. What the hell does it matter to them where you have your circles? But, you know, it's Google. And so then the KissMetrics article gives you this ham-handed advice about how you should look for the biggest communities, because this is going to be a great audience for you. And, you know, if you join this community, you have a great chance of widening your exposure among people who are interested in what you have to say. Well, yeah, that might have been a good thing if the guy knew something about Google+.
Yeah. I was very surprised at seeing that, because I mean, it's KissMetrics. It's not, you know, some small blog or something, right. And clearly the guy hasn't used Google Plus enough to know some of the fundamentals of it. I think with the shuffling your circles around thing, I think that's Google's inelegant way of saying don't follow and unfollow people, try and get their attention by like putting them in different circles and da-da-da. Sort of.
Well, one of the ways that people spam is they share circles, and that's a spam thing. So I kind of think that might be what they're referring to, but you know, it's just they don't explain anything well. They just don't, you know. I mean, it's like the biggest company on the planet, and they just can't explain anything. So
Google, we're happy to help you with PR anyway.
Really, you know, and
language.
Yeah, come here, we'll help you. So then they had another really bad idea. You know, those of us who are using the Hangout platform to create interactive communication, which is what this platform is about, are looking to use Comment Tracker. We're trying it again today, to use Comment Tracker so that we can bring our viewers into the conversation, so that we can answer them in real time, so that we can speak to each other. You know, I did that with the Hangout with hundreds of people on it, with NASA and the New York Times. You know, people could ask questions in real time. Ronnie Bincer does this every day. We all do this all the time. And so what Google has come up with are these two apps, which are Showcase, which makes an app, a Hangout, shoppable by allowing you to put links into the Hangout that people can actually go to, and they can buy things, they can download things, they can join, you know, an organization or whatever. I mean, it's a wonderful idea, except unfortunately what happens when you use it is that you cannot have interactivity with it. So you either are going to showcase some links or you're going to have a conversation. And that's on automatically by default, and you have to turn it off. This week, they make the ridiculous announcement that the other app, which is so stupid, which is called Applause, that lets you add applause to the video. You know, either you can add applause, or I think you can add boos, and you have to turn that off unless you, you know, if you don't, most people won't know that they're on automatically, and once you start the Hangout, you can't turn them off. You have to turn them off in advance, and they cut off any chance of interactivity, including Google's Q&A app. So that's a bad move, Google.
Is the applause what I think it is? Is it just the sound of applause or booing?
Yes.
Aren't we over that kind of? I mean, laugh tracks, aren't they a thing of the past?
You would think, right? I mean, that is exactly what it is. It's like a laugh track. So, go figure. But it is what it is. And anyway, I'd love to know what the people who are watching think about this, because I find it completely absurd and ridiculous. So tell us in the comments. What'd you find, Dave?
So I've got one bad thing that I found this week, and we've seen it before. We'll see it again. I just sort of think it's kind of stupid, but Samsung is the culprit this week. In a bid to get YouTube views, they decided to scare shoppers. And so what they did was, at a store in the United Kingdom, they had a salesperson who would be explaining their widescreen TVs, their curved TVs, and everything. And then while the customers were looking closely at the screen, they'd swap out the salesperson with someone who's dressed the exact same way, has the same hairstyle and everything, but is dressed as a zombie, has got makeup on that looks like a zombie. And so she picks up mid-sentence where the other person left off, and then they end the conversation, and the customers turn around and look directly at the woman. The saleswoman discovers she's a zombie, and they're surprised and scared and everything. And the point is to get video footage of the people being scared and everything. They uploaded it on October 28th, 126,000 views so far. I just think, scaring customers, punking customers it's a cheap trick. It's a cheap stunt.
Well, that's really silly. It's also ham-handed. I mean, there's no subtlety to that whatsoever, and that's really quite sad. I mean, at this point,
nothing for your product either. I mean, if their point, if they want to raise attention for raise awareness of their curved TVs, the point of the video is people getting scared, not their curved TVs. So.
So one more thing that I want to complain about this week. Google does not index tweets. They came to a parting of the ways, a couple of years ago already. And you have to hand it to Twitter, because this week they did live stream an event on YouTube. They didn't use Hangouts, but they did live stream an event. And the event was talking about their new advertising and how you should advertise for the holiday season. And I'm sure there were helpful hints for people who want to advertise, and there were some that weren't. But what it was a traditional PowerPoint presentation with these speakers standing in front of, oddly enough, leaves, like a wall that was just covered with ivy, and they had screens that the people in the room could see, but you couldn't. So you couldn't see the slides. You could just hear what they were saying about the slides. And then when the people in the audience asked questions, no one ran over to them with a microphone so that you could hear what they said, and they didn't tell you what the question was. They just spoke. And this went on for an hour and 40 minutes, and they stopped after a while, and then the video was still going, and then you hear, because they didn't mute themselves, somebody's coming back in, and they started a whole nother presentation. And come on, you guys are technology companies. What's going on with that? But the one thing that was cool is that when you do a live broadcast on YouTube, you have a comment stream that is live during the show, and they eventually got the idea that they should respond to the comments. It's Twitter. Comments,
Yeah, it's sort of in your wheelhouse, right?
So there's a way to go, but welcome to the world of Hangouts, and we hope you'll do one soon, Twitter. They have a series planned, so I don't know what the next one is. But, okay, so all that bad stuff, there's also some really fun stuff and good stuff, so tell us more.
Sure. So last week, I think, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, we talked about Twitter experimenting with tweet cards specifically designed for sound. So we're working with several partners, NPR and NASA being among them. So part of that, this week, NASA unveiled their SoundCloud account. So I'm actually not sure if they unveiled it this week, but they've got a SoundCloud account where they are uploading audio of space stuff. So you can hear rocket engine sounds, you can hear solar system sounds, you can hear historical archives. They've got the Eagle has landed. They've got excerpts from President Kennedy's speeches. They've got Houston, we have a problem. It's Creative Commons, so you can use them as you want. You can use them as your ringtones, so you can embed them. But very, very cool that they're using SoundCloud, and of course you can embed these in tweets, and they'll play live from tweets or in Facebook. They'll play inline in Facebook as well, so you can share them as well. But very cool.
You know, I'm so impressed with NASA. I mean, there was that awful crash this week. Obviously, that's really sad. But NASA immediately planned a news conference, and they included bloggers in the conference. They answered calls on the phone. They were so forthright. You know, they act like humans, and it's a government agency, and I just find that so fascinating. And, you know, their social media policy basically is that what we're all about is trying to engage. That's what we want, and that's what we do here, and we want to give people access to our scientists and our information, and it's incredible, and this is just another thing that people will love. You know, they really do they're tuned into the zeitgeist. They know what people want from them, and they give it. They're so cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I got another one that I happened across. I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, photopin.com is a cool tool for discovering Creative Commons photos. So I was using that to find something for a project I was working at, and came across a photo on Flickr of a very highly professional shot photo of financial sort of theme with a calculator and a pair of glasses on a desk. And went to it and download the photo, and it's by a guy named Ken Teagarden. He shot it, and the description in it is what is very clever. So I'm going to read the description of the photo. It's a Creative Commons photo. You can use it for commercial purposes, for any purpose you want. But he says in the description, I created this shot in my studio for use on my site, seniorliving.org. But I want to share it since it's applicable to much more than just senior retirement planning. Feel free to use this image, but please give attribution by linking to seniorliving.org or give us a +1 or even a Facebook like. It is very difficult to get seniors to +1, so your help can really help us establish this site as a great resource. So it's true. You can't get seniors aren't going to +1 stuff. They're not going to like stuff on Facebook for the most part. They're not going to retweet. They're not going to tweet. So in order to get that social interaction around your content where your audience is not likely to be providing that social proof, here's a clever tactic to get that.
That's a really interesting idea, but that you found it by happenstance is sort of odd. I wonder how somebody would find it otherwise.
Well, I mean, providing a great resource, a great valuable resource in exchange for additional value.
Just a nice photograph, you know. Yeah. It is a nice photograph. So we do have a question. Scott Scowcroft says, Twitter has a series of HOA planned. Could you keep us informed? Yeah, I will. They said during the show that they were doing a series, so I'm not sure they're HOAs, Hangouts on Air. I think more likely they're more of these PowerPoint presentations, but maybe we'll get lucky. And
it looks like they might have been using YouTube's live broadcast feature.
That's what they did. That's what they did. Scott had another comment, which is that he said, I mean, this is true. We know at least 100 and maybe more 1,000 super advocates for Hangouts on Air, and we all are happy to evangelize. You said, why don't they call us? We're all happy to evangelize, and yet Google ignores us. And we don't know what's up with that, Scott. We wish we did. And one more, which is Leela Martin, who says, I hate those added apps. It was so easy to get busy before you start the broadcast, and if you forget, you're doomed for them. Yeah, they interfere with what you're trying to do, which is to have interaction like this. So in terms of best news, I was looking at the wonderful Hobbit safety video that Air New Zealand did, and somehow they became the official airline of Middle Earth. And instead of, the exits are over here and pull down your oxygen mask on yourself and then on your kid, they have the Hobbits, and it's just a wonderful. You have to watch it, and it's approaching 11 million views and 6,000 likes. So. Humor in advertising is my favorite thing for brands to do, and obviously when it's appropriate, but, this totally is. And I mean, 11 million views of an airplane safety video, you're doing something right.
It's very, very smart of them. They've adopted or claimed or put their stake in the ground. Middle Earth is ours. Peter Jackson, of course, filmed all the Hobbit films or the Lord of the Rings films in New Zealand. So somebody had the brilliant idea of we're going to own Middle Earth, and this is the result. Fantastic video too.
And it's so well done. Everything about it is just so well done. The other thing that we both have something about. Well, you do yours first, but Uber this week. There was a good idea that a little bit went bad. Uber did their second annual kitten deliveries. They teamed up in 7 different cities. I think it was 6 or 7 different cities. They teamed up with shelters. In New York, it was the ASPCA. They did Austin, Chicago, D.C., Phoenix, San Francisco, Seattle, and New York. And how it worked was that the hashtag was Uber Kittens, and you used the app, the Uber Kitten app, and you paid $30 as a donation. All the money went to the shelter, and you got delivered to your office 15 minutes of kitten snuggles. And Uber matches each donation, so you donate 30, they donate 30, and if you want to adopt a kitten, you get a free Uber ride to the shelter. But they ran out of kittens. So the tweets from people who were both hopeful and frustrated, started to get into a really kind of, the way it does, fevered pitch. So the CEO of Uber, whose name is Travis Kalanick, said, very sorry, really sorry, we had zero idea people would be going this nuts over kitties. Also, kitten delivery does not scale very well.
Now, I don't know how I couldn't imagine that people would get that excited over kittens, but
they're so cute. And then the tweets were so funny. Like the one guy says, "No kittens available. You're dead to me, Uber." Somebody else said, "The Uber kitten shortage is really harshing my vibe." But I mean, it's such a cool idea. They have all these videos and they have photographs of everybody playing with the kittens. That people like kittens. There was the first kitten cafe like they have in Japan, in New York. There were lines around the block to get into this cat cafe where people could pet cats. Now I have one, and I can tell you they're very sweet, but they have another side to them. And so, by the way, when Uber did that, it was National Cat Day, and cats celebrated by totally ignoring the whole thing.
Trend that you and I will both talk about, having different examples here, but so the Internet of Things trend continues. It marches inexorably on, and part of that is the smart home trend, right? So we're getting smart devices in our home, and the brightest example of that are light bulbs. Light bulbs are changing. Light bulbs are getting Wi-Fi, and so Phillips released a video that highlights how light bulbs have changed drastically from the beginning to the present era, and they did it very cleverly in a time-lapse video format. And so they show family from the Victorian age with the husband stepping up on a ladder and screwing in a light bulb that hangs above the family living room. And then they flip through time-lapse format all the different eras from there's a flapper dancing in the scene, and then it goes on to the 60s, and you got the 60s era gaudy decor, and then you've got the sort of space age. You hear the Eagle has landed on TV, and then to the present day, where you switch it, you flip in a Phillips light bulb, and all of a sudden the lighting changes drastically. It changes according to mood. It changes the atmosphere. It changes whether it's night or day, or you're studying, or you're watching a movie, you're playing video games, and so it very effectively highlights the change in lighting technology, basically.
And it's all in what, a minute and a half?
Yeah.
It's a remarkable video, it really is, because it's the same people, and it shows them, you know, dancing to different music, and it manages to show every aspect of their life, and even how the decor changes as the years go on. You know, they had, like, at one point there was one kind of clock in the living room, and then in the 70s there was a kind of a 70s, you know, you could tell the era by the decorations and the hairdos. I mean, absolutely clever. Whoever did that, it did a really brilliant job of it. It does really demonstrate. Well, the one that I found, which just is hilarious, is it stars Jeff Goldblum, and it's for General Electric for their LED light bulbs, and it's approaching 2 million views in a month, and it's an ad, and it's saying that their LED bulb will enhance your entire life. So here he is. He looks like a 70s bachelor. You know, the only thing he isn't wearing is a leisure suit, and he plays this really over-the-top celebrity, and he says, if you want a life like mine, the key to the success is great lighting. And he said, don't believe me, and they shut the lights, and you can see his face with all the lines and the flaws and everything, and then they put the light back on, and he looks great. And, you know, I guess we've learned a little bit about lighting too. It does make you look great if you do it right. And so, you know, it's hilarious. And at the end he tells you to have your lighting servant get you the GE bulbs, and at one point he's in his hot tub, which has a piano right next to it, and he's inviting you into his hot tub, and, you know, he's in his bathing. It's just hilarious. And, you know, your lighting servant should go out and get you these bulbs. And it's part of a series that GE is doing about the Internet of Things, and, you know, which is a very intimidating concept to everyone. And so it's putting it in terms that people can understand, which I think is really very cool, and using humor. And, you know, again, that's my favorite way for messages to be told. And I think we're going to see more and more of this, and it's just going to be hard to understand for a long time until your refrigerator really does talk to you, and your coffee maker does really hand you your cup of coffee in the morning, you know. But anyway, I think lighting is, I know lighting is crucially important, because I look at people who are doing Hangouts and who don't have it, and it's pretty bad. So there's something in, can we go to apps, or do you have another?
Let's do.
Okay, there's one I have to have this right away. It's called the Dorothy app, and it comes with something, that's the app, and then there's this little device called Ruby, and what happens is when you put this little Ruby device on your shoes, preferably red ones, then click your heels together 3 times, it communicates with your phone. And it comes from iStrategy Labs, which is a digital agency in DC, and so basically you can turn your shoes into Ruby slippers. And the cool thing about it is that you can set up a fake call or a text, so you can escape a bad date, or you know, get away from a conversation. You know, I'm sorry, I got to take this call, and just in case you're with a wicked witch, you can get away. And soon, they say, it'll be able to tie in with Uber's API. You'll be able to order a car, and then a pizza and other food, and it'll also have a safety component for emergencies, so that you can be found. You click your heels together after you get kidnapped, I guess. I don't know.
if your hands are tied behind you while you're in the trunk, at least your heels are free. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, and you click your heels together and preferably wear red shoes, and you put this little thing, and they said it's going to become small enough so that you'll be able to actually, they'll be able to be made into shoes. And so you can buy the shoes with the app in it instead of having to remember to put it in, but hey, we remember to bring our phones with us. We can remember to put that in our shoe. Isn't that cool?
Well, I see two real practical uses for it: getting out of a bad date and getting unkidnapped. But the others, I mean, do you really need to click your heels to order a pizza?
Well, there's a lot of things we don't actually need that we want. I mean, we could have that conversation for the next few weeks on the show if you want to. You know, I mean, Dave, how many guitars do you need?
You can never have enough guitars, BL.
Well, that's the point, you see. So, okay, something from this, ridiculous to the sublime. Google X, which is their coolness project, they have revealed that they're working on a nano-pill that can seek out cancerous cells. This is mind-boggling. So, detecting cancer could involve popping a pill. And Andrew Conrad, who's the head of life sciences at Google, he was at a Wall Street Journal digital conference, and their lab is very secretive. You don't know what they're working on until they tell you, and they feel that they'll be able to use this pill to detect disease within the body, and it's one of a series of health initiatives. They have that smart contact lens that detects your glucose level for diabetics, and a utensil that helps Parkinson's patients manage their hand tremors. And the way this works is that there are these tiny particles in the pill that they're coated with magnetized antibodies that are programmed to spread through your body with this pill and latch on to the abnormal cells and identify what they are. So you will be able to tell, this blows my mind, whether the person who swallowed the pill has cancer or other diseases. That is just beyond, futuristic. I mean, that's the most useful thing anybody's done in a really long time.
Well, this kind of stuff I think is inevitable too. I mean, it's just a matter of time before it becomes practical, before it becomes commonplace. Even technology continues to get smaller. Sensors are, going to be everywhere. The ability to communicate wirelessly. It's just all the trends point to that direction. So very, very cool.
Well, if you're wondering about what comes next for Google, you don't have to worry. They're into so many things that are amazing. What'd you find, Dave?
This is very cool. I haven't tried it out yet. I totally want to try it out, but I got to find a situation where I can use it. An app called Switcher. So Switcher, it's an iOS video production app, and what it is an iPad app that allows one device to control up to 4 separate iOS devices. So I could hook it up to your iPhone, BL, and another friend of mine's iPhone, and capture your video streams onto this device, and it serves as basically the dashboard, the editing console for a video production. And
wow.
So I live stream different video streams from different devices and decide which one goes. I'm the editor, I'm the producer, I decide which goes to the actual live stream. So it's a mixing console essentially for different video streams. And so there is a free version. The free version, you get the editing suite and 30 minutes of streaming per day. And then there's a pro version for $49.99 a month or $500 annual prepay. It has unlimited HD streaming. You get a digital zoom feature. You get access to your camera roll on your device so that you can put in graphics and you can and do screencasting and everything. But it's democratizing a television studio production operation. It looks awesome. Haven't tried it, but
oh, I want to see the result when you do try it. That sounds absolutely remarkable. That really does. I have another one that's pretty amazing. It's an ambulance drone, And a Dutch engineer made basically a flying defibrillator for emergencies. It's called the ambulance drone, and you'd have it in various points around the city, and then in an emergency, people call it, and it arrives a few seconds later with a defibrillator that anybody can use, and it lets doctors monitor the situation, and it has a webcam and a loudspeaker, and it allows remote doctors to walk people on the scene through the process of attaching the electrodes. And the creator is Alex Momont of TU Delft's Faculty of Industrial Design Engineering, and he said that 20% of people can operate a defibrillator without instruction, but the number rises when you have help from trained personnel. I still don't want a drone, but I think that's the coolest drone app I've heard yet.
Wow, that is cool. That's
Yeah.
very
Help is on the way, for sure.
Yeah.
So you got another one. Well, boy, we're running late. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a very quick one. It's been around for a while, but I actually just used it in a project, Google Fonts. So part of the problem with web design since the beginning has been that if the visitor to your site doesn't have your font that you want to display installed on their machine, they're not going to see it. And so this solves that problem by basically hosting fonts. So google.com/fonts, you go there, choose your fonts, click a couple of buttons, and you can get embed code to paste into your website to display the fonts that you want to be displayed to all of your visitors. So very cool.
Google's been doing a lot of good things with their apps lately, upgrading them and making them better. Every couple of days something good happens with these apps. That's a cool one. Because that's I come from a family of typographers, so the ugliness of type on the internet has always just really hurt my eyes. I'm glad to hear that somebody cares about it. Next comes kerning and all that good stuff. So that brings us to the daily numbers, right?
Yep, that's correct. Today we have email open and click rates by subject line. This is from Mailer. So basically the number of characters in a subject line and the open rate and click rates according to that. 4 to 15 characters in a subject line for your email. It delivers a 16.8% open rate and a 2.4% click rate. The longer your subject lines go, the less effective they become, not surprisingly. 16 to 27 characters gets a 13.4% open rate and a 2.2% click-through rate. 28 to 39 characters gets a 12.7% open rate and a 2.1% click-through rate. So short and succinct is the way to go with email subject lines.
With everything, because we have the attention span of fleas, especially in email. Nobody's going to click on an email to open it to read the rest of the subject line, that's for sure. And I have to say I'm guilty of long subject lines. I'm going to reform. So that brings us to the end of episode 70 of the Beyond Social Media Show. Later, today or tomorrow, we will have the video timestamp so that you can go directly to any segment we discussed. That will be on the Beyond Social Media Show blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com, and on the YouTube video. And we will also have the playlist on the blog with links to everything that we discussed. And where to find us online, of course, on the blog, beyondsocialmediashowblog.com. On our Google Plus page, you can find David at D. Erickson on Twitter, at eStrategyblog.com, at eStrategyTV, and you can find me. I am at What's Next on Twitter. Of course, I'm on Google Plus, and my blog is What's Next Blog, and I'm CEO of Maximum Plus, and I can help you learn how to use Hangouts and produce live events for you. We'll be back next Saturday at 12:30. We thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for watching.